What if I told you one of the UK's top psychological warfare officers tried to expose a child abuse ring, instead ended up in prison on false charges? What if I told you he also tried to expose a black magic propaganda campaign designed to terrify civilians and got himself redacted from government records for it? This is the story of Colin Wallace, an intelligence officer turned whistleblower, framed for a crime he did not commit and forgotten by history. Until now. In 1968, Colin Wallace joined the Ministry of Defense. By the early 70s, he was working for the Information Policy Unit at Fleetfield Barracks in Northern Ireland. Officially, he was just a press officer. Unofficially, he was a master of psychological operations. Wallace wasn't just good at his job, he was exceptional. Colleagues call him the lynchpin of the whole operation. Confidential MOD reports praised his work as being of the highest caliber. He was even nominated twice for an MBE, but neither award ever came through. Why? Because he was making enemies in high places. Wallace discovered something strange during his time in military intelligence, something called Clockwork Orange. It wasn't about the movie. It was a secret disinformation campaign, supposedly run by those right-winged elements inside the British intelligence community. Its goal? To destabilize and smear political figures, especially those on the left. The targets included former prime ministers, opposition leaders, even men who were later accused of child abuse. Documents were forged, briefings were staged, and Wallace was told to participate, but he refused. Wallace also uncovered reports of child sexual abuse occurring at the Kincora Boys Home in Belfast. Its ringleader, William McGrath, a religious extremist, loyalist paramilitarist, and a known intelligence asset. Wallace claims he was told to leak details to journalists to get authorities to investigate. But when he started asking questions, something changed. The Ministry of Defense stopped supporting him. His work then became classified. And Wallace, he was cut off. At the same time, Wallace and his team were running a bizarre psychological operation. They planted evidence of satanic rituals, fake blood, black candles, mutilated pets, all designed to scare the public and target the groups the army wanted to suppress.
In one operation, they left staged altars in nationalist-supported areas. In another, they worked with local newspapers to stoke fear about black magic cults operating in the shadows of their communities. Their targets weren't just extremists. They were ordinary civilians, especially the young and impressionable. Why? Because you can weaponize fear. In 1980, Wallace would find himself arrested for manslaughter. He was accused of killing a man named Jonathan Lewis in a supposed altercation, but the evidence was flimsy. Key witnesses in the case would retract their statements, and the forensic evidence supplied by an anonymous U.S. source. And Wallace, who had no prior history of physical violence, would find himself sentenced to 6 years in prison. Later, the conviction would be overturned. Journalists and even MPs would claim the case was set up to silence him because the evidence was tampered with. Even today, Wallace's full role in military intelligence is classified by the Ministry of Defense. He would even testify in the Bloody Sunday inquiries, but the documents he provided were redacted He even submitted evidence in the Kincora inquiries, but it was ignored. One man, with all of the secrets, is a dangerous individual to those who wish to operate with deniability. Why was he punished? Why was he framed? And how many more men in the government knew what he knew? How many more men with heavy hearts continuing to lie to themselves about doing it for the greater good? Wallace may have started with being a good soldier, but he ended with being a good man.
This is the story of John Colin Wallace. Ooh, this is the matter.